Hey guys, welcome to my first ever live stream. I'm in the Kopf shop tonight and I've got something special that I wanted to share with you guys. I ordered some new veneers for 2 new custom cajóns that I'll be working on over the next few weeks, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you the very beginning of when I start building a drum, and also give you a chance to see some really cool veneers. Now, I've got my laptop out, and if you have any questions or comments, I'm going to be really paying attention to this, but I'll try to keep an eye on the laptop for your comments and try to answer any that you might have. So let's get started. The guy that I ordered these from is at veneersupplies.com. He's one of my favorite suppliers because he takes a lot of time in his packing to make sure that it gets here safely, because these veneers are fragile and you have to be careful with them, and he makes it that much easier to make sure you have a good outcome and start with good materials. All right, one of the things whenever you're unpacking these, they're rolled up is what they do with them to keep them safe, and you have to be really careful because they want to spring open whenever you take them out. And you see he did a good job packing it in there. See how it comes in a roll. All those veneers are in there. There's 2 different sets of veneers. I ordered some Spalted maple, and I also ordered some Quilted maple. And these will be book matched, and I'm going to show you how I do that. And I'll kind of explain to you how they get these veneers, and they get to slice them off the log. Oh boy, it's going to be pretty. See how they roll it up in there? All right, this is where you have to be careful because it tries to spring open. Look at that. Okay. All right, there's 2 different types of veneers here. And the first one, this is a Quilted maple. I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but whenever there's no way to look at a tree when it's standing and knowing that this is inside of it. The only way you know this is in there is when they actually cut into it. So every log looks the same until they slice into it, and then they'll see this and they'll say, oh, wait a minute. So they won't cut 1 by 6s out of a maple log that has this kind of figure. They'll set that off the side, and they'll go to the veneer mills, where they don't actually saw it off, they slice them off. And when they slice it off, for example, this is pretty stuff. This Spalted maple, they'll slice one off, and then they'll take it off and set it to the side, slice another one off, take it off and set it to the side, so it's in sequential order. So each one of these, they're almost identical. They're not perfectly, but you almost can't tell that they're not exactly the same. And that's what makes it possible to book match. And I'll give you a little, if you can see that, that's that Spalted maple right there. I'm going to set this off to the side because I'm going to have to trim these up a little bit. before I show you guys how I book match them. So I'm going to set this over here. And as you can see, they're kind of curled up because they've been in that box. And I'll have to let them sit out for a day or two and kind of press them down back flat. But right now, I'm going to trim these up so I can show you how I do a book match. And it's not complicated. And this is going to be a quick and dirty version of what I do, because there are some more steps that I have to go through to make this work. But I'm just going to do kind of a rough book match so you can see what it looks like. And the first step is I've got to cut these to roughly what my final dimensions are going to be for my face plates. Now what I want to do, you can notice there's two sheets here. They're almost exactly the same. I don't know if you can see that. When I get these cut and book matched, I'll hold it up to the camera and make it a lot easier for you to see. But the first thing I do is I've got to get these cut to roughly the right size, and then I'll show you how I book match them. I found the best way to cut these. You know, they have veneer saws and all this stuff. A box cutter with a brand new sharp razor blade. It's about the best thing I've found. You can't get in a hurry, because I don't want to tear the fibers. I want to slice them. So it's going to take several passes. That one came off. All right. Now we have our two sides to our book match. Some pretty stuff, isn't it? This is hard maple, and I'll take two sets of these actually to make one faceplate, and that's going to be two outer veneers like these, and then there'll be a solid maple core in between. That's how I make my faceplates. But if you look at this, remember how I was telling you that they'll slice one off, set it down, slice one off, because these are almost identical. So if I lay them down, and all I have to do to book match is flip it. And then what you have is a book matched set. Now what I'll do, I'm not going to do it in this live stream because it takes a little while to do it, but I'll make sure I get these edges perfectly flat before I actually do this. But for the live stream, I'm just going to do kind of a quick and dirty one so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to use some tape to tape them together so you guys can see it. Then I'm going to spray some naphtha on it to make the grain pop. And that gives you an idea of what it'll look like after I put lacquer on it. You have to be real careful with these, because before they get glued up into a faceplate, they're really fragile. But I use a type of glue called urea resin glue. It's actually the kind of glue that they use when they make skateboard decks. It dries really, really hard, and it's really, really durable. If you use other types of glues with veneering, sometimes later on they'll have what is called creep, and where it's glued to the substrate, it'll slide just a little bit, and then your book match can get messed up, and it also causes cracks. But with the urea resin glue, you don't have nearly as much problem with that. Sometimes people see this process and they think it looks pretty rough, and it does. but the end product is truly amazing. Like I said, this is kind of a rough go of it right here. This is just a few more steps in it that I would follow when I go to do this later on this week for real. All right, so then it gives you your book match. All right, now that's just the raw wood, so I mean, this stuff's pretty wild what it looks like, but if I spray a little naphtha on it, we can make it pop. You see it coming out? It gives you an idea what it'll look like when you, wow. That gives you an idea what it's going to look like when you put the lacquer on it. I hope the camera's picking that up. Now, I was planning on pairing this with some cherry, a cherry body. And I do think it'll look really good with it. This naphtha doesn't leave a stain on it either. I like the contrast. And this maple, this is really, really hard, and it, as far as the tone goes, it produces a really, it's really bright, really articulate. So I try to pair it with a warmer body. And walnut is known for its warmth. And I'm considering using it with this, but you know, cherry's not known for being a tone wood. You don't hear it, you know, people don't call it out all the time, but I do in this shop. It's very similar to walnut, actually. It's real mellow, but it's not dull. It gives a really nice warm. And I was telling the customer that I thought it would go with it very well as far as tone wise, but also if you notice, you know, I'll put shellac on this to seal it. And these little dark spots, see how they're matching up with that? Yeah, I think that'll work. Though I will say that walnut looks good with it too. It's the contrast with this, not that it matches. I think I like the cherry better. So that's one drum that I have that somebody has ordered already. Now I'm going to show you the other one. Now this spalted maple it can be a little tricky. So what I'm going to do with this, when I bought this, it was this section right here that I was looking at that I really liked. But I see now that I've got it, there's some problems in here, so I'm probably going to focus my attention more down here. But once again, I have to get it cut to length. I've got to be careful with this because this stuff's fragile, which I'll treat it. I have a softener that I'll use on it and slowly flatten that out before I actually use it. And we won't have this problem. But I've got a feeling when I book match this, it is going to be spectacular. So the first thing I do is find my length. You know, I think I am going to use about right there. I have to be careful cutting this because it does like to tear out sometimes. You have to be real careful cutting this stuff. You don't want to try to take too much at a time. It's just like if any of you are woodworkers, if you're using a planer with hard maple, if you try to take too much at a time, it'll chip out. It's the same idea with this stuff. Now this is, it's hard to believe that this is the same species of tree as that. It's just a different figure. This one over here is actually, that's a defect in the growth of the tree. This is actually a fungus that got in it. Hence why it's fragile. But I'll fix all that. Some tough stuff to cut, I know that much. There we go. Now, just like the other, sliced off sequentially. If you'll take it and just flip it on itself, you get a mirror image again. Like so. I'll be real careful with this when I'm taping it up though, because it's going to try to crack. I'm sorry guys, I haven't been looking in there. Oh, that's funny. All right. I'll do the same thing I did with the quilted maple. Normally I would treated this with some softener before I ever did any of this, but that's a whole process in itself, and I don't think I could have done that we'd have been here all night. Basically, I spray the softener on it and I put it in my vacuum press and I let it sit there for about 24 hours actually, and it loosens all the fibers up, and when it dries it'll be flat. It won't be doing this curling stuff. It also makes the fibers a little more flexible so they're less likely to crack, which is always a good thing with something like spalted maple. I think when you see, sometimes you have to have a little bit of vision and imagine what these things will look like when you get them book matched. And I knew from the start that I was going to pair this with walnut. I think you'll see why as I get this taped up. Yeah, it's already coming together. I can see it. This is drum's going. There's actually another drum builder. He wanted me to build him a drum, and I'm surprised that he wanted me to build him a drum. He's somebody I've followed for years, and I have a lot of respect for him, and I'm honored that he wanted me to build him a drum. So then there's your book match. All right, put a little naphtha on that, and then I want to show you what my plans are with this. It darkens up real nice. See how it looks? Tell me if I'm wrong with a walnut body. What do y'all think? Can you make that out? I think that's going to be spot on. I'll have to do some work with this though to get it flattened out. And like I said, this is going to work real well with those warm bodies, because this maple is going to be really bright and really articulate. And I'm looking forward to the build. So there you go. First ever Kopf Percussion live feed. So yeah, next 2 or 3 weeks I'll be working on these drums. So if you guys stay tuned, you will get to watch the full build. And I'm going to reach out to that drum builder and just make sure it's okay for me to mention. I'm sure it's not a problem. I just didn't think about it and beforehand, and I'll ask him if it's okay, and I'll let you know who it is. I was surprised when he asked, just because I have so much respect for the guy. So, wow, you're blowing me up over here. Hey, Rob. Yeah, that's your quilted maple. Yep. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and if you guys enjoyed this, maybe it's something that I'll start doing on the regular with my builds. And so stay tuned, and if you haven't liked and subscribed or followed, do that for me. You'd be surprised how much it helps. You have a good night.